Roane County prosecutors say a man starved his child to death. 2-year-old Clifford Dotson died in 2012. His father, 33-year-old Matthew Dotson, is now on trial for murder.
10 News reporter Stephanie Haynes was in court today as Dotson took the witness stand.
33-year-old Matthew Dotson testified on his own behalf in his murder trial in Roane County Court on Thursday. Prosecutors alleged he starved his 2-year-old son Clifford Dotson to death back in 2012. Here's how Dotson describes discovering his son the night he died.
It looked like that. It was horrible.
Dotson's wife, Amanda Dotson, pled guilty to facilitation of murder back in the fall and is now serving a 40-year prison sentence. Matthew Dotson testified at the time of his son's death, he and Amanda weren't getting along, and he was spending most of his time at his family's home. He testified he didn't see his son hardly at all in the weeks leading up to his death.
I told him that I hadn't been there too much, a lot, at any, and that the last time I saw the kids was over a month ago.
During cross-examination, prosecutors asked more specifically about what Clifford looked like in the weeks leading up to his death.
That was Stephanie Haynes reporting. More of that story online at WBIR.com. Now, he faces the possibility of life in prison without parole. Tomorrow, we can expect that case to go to the jury. That means 10 men and 6 women will appear as alternates, and they have not been selected just yet.